Let me tell you a small deep story from Bhagavata Purana. This story is about our life, but it is like a riddle, so pay a lot of attention to its characters. The story goes like this. Once there was a young good looking prince named Puranjanan. He wanted to get married and lead a happy life. He had a very thick friend by the name Avignyatha whom he would never leave at any situation. So along with him, he started to travel places to find a suitable partner for himself. One day, they came across an attractive, well-constructed city by the name Bhogavathi. It looked gigantic and systematically organized with 9 entrances around it. As Puranjanan was admiring the city, his eyes fell upon a stunning young lady looking perfectly fit for her age. Being elegantly dressed with ornaments, she looked like a princess. Puranjanan was unable to take his eyes off her. He so wished that she would become the love of his life. He decided to make a move. He left his old friend behind and strode towards the young lady. But upon nearing her, he was taken aback to find that 5 snakes were guarding the lady. She also had one loyal servant who in turn had 10 other servants working for him. However, Puranjanan was unmindful of what he saw as he was already enticed by her beauty. He introduced himself as Prince Puranjanan and struck a conversation with her. In a short span of time, he expressed his desire to marry her. Without losing her cool, she replied, "I am the princess of the city Bhogavathi and I have no problem marrying you, but I have one condition. After marriage, I shall not leave the city. You have to stay back with me here, of course. Being my husband, you would become the future king of the city." Without giving it a single thought, Puranjanan immediately accepted. Marriage, love, cuddling, happiness, fun, they were having the best time of their lives. With passage of time, he became too much inclined to his wife Puranjani that he would eat only if she eats. He would laugh only if she laughs. If she cries, he would start crying. His life became completely meaningless without her. As time swirled by, Puranjanan started becoming old. There was yet another king Chandravega who was well known for devastating cities. He understood the plight of Bhogavathi and its internal affairs. So along with his daughter Durbaga, he decided to attack the city. He teamed up with an emperor of neighborhood kingdom Prajvara. Together, they launched a fearful attack on the city. Chandravega's army of 360 soldiers, comprising of 180 fair men and 180 dark women, fired Bhogavathi from all directions. However, Prajagra, the commander-in-chief of Bhogavathi, valiantly resisted them. He fought to his maximum, but still, he was unmatchable to the army of Chandravega. The commander of Bhogavathi suffered defeat and had to retreat. The king Puranjanan saw his men losing. All his foes who once fought for him fell apart one by one. He knew he was losing the battle. His final hopes disappeared when the commander-in-chief Prajagra jumped the city gates and fled the city. Happily, Chandravega set Bhogavathi on fire. The fire burned down the entire city. All that was left now of the once stupendous city were just bones and ashes. The Emperor Puranjanan died thinking of his beloved wife Puranjani. In next birth, he was born as daughter to the king of Vidarbha, eventually getting the name as Vaidarbi. She married the Pandya king Malayadwajan and lived happily with children. However, with passage of time, the king renounced his wealth, handed over his kingdom to sons, and headed towards the forest for meditation. Malayadwajan conquered hunger and thirst, pleasure and pain, and finally attained the state of Jiva Samadhi. His wife Vaidarbi, having followed him for all these years, was unable to take in his death. She wept madly and decided to kill herself. She kindled fire with firewood and set them ablaze. When she was about to fall in, a voice interrupted Vaidarbi stop. She turned her gaze towards the direction of the voice to find a pious Brahmin staring at him. He continued, "Why are you crying, lady? Is it because of the bondage you had shared with him? And you believe death will give you a solution?" Confused by his questions, the women stared back at him intensely. The Brahmin smiled and continued. Long time ago, you had a very close friend by the name Avignyatha, remember? Consciousness started to dawn upon the woman as she instantly realized that she was talking to none other than his old friend Avignyatha himself. Avignyatha continued, "We were inseparables, my dear, but you chose to live with Puranjani in Bhogavathi. But even now, you have a choice. Do you want to come back with me, or do you want to continue your journey?" Vaidyanatha closed her eyes and let the realization creep inside her. She made a decision. She moved along with her eternal friend, Avignyatha. That's it. End of the story. What? Come on, I don't find any logic at all in the story. The introduction claimed it was about our life, but nothing of that sort. No, on the contrary, this story is only about your life. And believe me, you are the only person in the story. All the characters are about personification. After grasping its meaning, listen to the story again. Then this is going to make a lot of sense for you. Who is Puranjanan, the hero of the story? Guess what? He is none other than you and me and everyone around us. According to scriptures, the Jivatma. Avignyatha, the power which is superior to us, the power which governs the laws of physics, the Supreme One, and according to scriptures, Paramatma. Both of them being inseparable denote that both of them would always be together. They enter a well-constructed city named Bhogavathi, which has 9 entrances. Bhogavathi? Yes, the body or the Shariram, and the 9 entrances are the 9 openings present in it, which serve as entrance and exit gates for the soul. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, mouth, genital organ, and anus, summing together 9. After entering the city of Shariram, Puranjanan, the soul, meets a beautiful lady, Puranjani. Who is she? She is the brain, or in better terms, the intellect, which directs as to what you have to do. The 5 snakes guarding her are the Pancha Pranan present to the body: Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, and Samana. Prana, the vital air which sustains life. Apana, the excretory air which deals with expulsion of impure air from the body. Vyana, the air circulating inside the body. Udana, the air which helps for respiration. And Samana, the air which helps for digestion. And she also had 10 loyal servants headed by a chief. Who are they? The 10 servants are 5 sense organs, the Jnanendriyangal: eyes, ears, nose, mouth, skin, and 5 motor organs, Karmendriyangal: tongue, hands, legs, anus, and organs of reproduction. All these 10 are headed by a single chief servant called as the mind. With passage of time, Puranjanan, the soul, becomes too much inclined to its body controlled by the senses. He performs whatever the brain asks him to do. Eventually, as years pass by, he becomes old. The king Chandravega, who attacks the body, is the Kala, or the time, and his army of 180 plus 180 white and black soldiers are the day and nights respectively. Durbhaga and Prajvara, who made joint alliance with Kala, are the old age and the disease which accompany with time. In order to tackle the onslaught, the commander-in-chief Prajagra, who is the breath or the lifeline, fights to its maximum, but he fails to the king Chandravega and runs away from the city before the city is burned into ashes. Just like how the breath escapes from the body long before the body is blazed in funeral pyre and burnt into ashes. But this vicious cycle of getting attracted to the body continues in next birth too. In fact, in every birth. Entire life is spent in satisfying the senses, which are a part of your mortal body which is going to die. The single most important ideology all the Hindu scriptures unanimously claim is that you are independent of the body. After your death, your body and the senses are just the mortal remains. You no longer belong to it. So forego the love you have towards it. Understand that the greater happiness lies not in receiving, but renouncing. This realization, when dawns upon you, you begin to get a feel that you are one among the nature, eventually sharing an eternal connection with them. You start to believe that you, me, this house, the trees outside, the mountains, the oceans, the planets, in fact, every living and non living thing in the universe are a part of a single large entity, and this state of realizing self is claimed as mukti by the Shastras. And only by realizing this, you reach the true state of happiness, 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 declares the Shastras. The deeper meaning goes by that these three strands represent three prominent nadis in our body: Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Upon death, when the body is burnt or buried, we cannot even find the trace of the body as it splits itself and goes back earnestly to earth, water, fire, air, and space.